How are you ding dong diddly doing there, gamerinos? Hope you're having a flanderific day. I just realized my mic was muted. So typically I don't really fuck around with AI because I think it's very unreliable and it's not very great. But I saw this like come across in my timeline and I want to play it because I think this is pretty amazing and pretty powerful.
This young woman asked AI, what would Charlie say right now?
First, I want you to know I'm fine, not because my body is fine, but because my soul is secure in Christ. Death is not the end, it's a promotion. Don't waste 1 second mourning me. I knew the risks of standing up in this cultural moment, and I'd do it all over again. Second, do not let this violence divide us further. The enemy wants chaos, fear, and retaliation. Don't give it to them. Instead, double down on truth. Double down on courage. Double down on your faith and on your families. That is how you honor me. Third, remember this. America is worth it. Free speech is worth it. Fighting for the unborn, for families, for sanity in a culture gone mad, it is all worth it. So dry your tears, pick up your cross, and get back in the fight. Do it with joy, do it with strength, and never ever let evil think it won.
That's exactly what he'd say.
Yeah, that...
Best deal ever is back, because we know...
Excuse me, I didn't ask for an ad. Yeah, I mean, she's not wrong. That sounds exactly like what Charlie would say. So, in the spirit of that, in the spirit of wanting to honor what he truly stood for, I know that I have put Democrats are terrorists in every stream title recently. And yeah, there's something to be said for it. But I think blanketly calling every Democrat a terrorist is probably not what Charlie would want. So, are there a lot of Democrats that are terrorists? Absolutely. Oh, absolutely, and I think Charlie would agree with that, but I really want to honor his memory, and to honor his memory, I can't be doing that. So, I'm not going to put that in there. I will say, if you're celebrating his death, if you're continuing to call him and President Trump and Trump supporters in general Nazis or fascists or Hitler or white supremacists, then yeah, you are a terrorist. 100% you are a terrorist. But I don't think I can make the blanket statement anymore. But yeah. We absolutely got to pick up that cross and carry the mission forward, which is what I am working on. As I said in the episode of SFC, I've been reading Mere Christianity, which maybe I can talk about on here, because I don't... Well, you know what, I'm not going to talk about the book. I'll save it for SFC. When we eventually, at some point, do read it as an SFC family. But, and I said this on SFC too, that when I read it, I very much hear echoes of Charlie, and it makes me smile, and it makes me very happy, and it makes me want to use these exact same arguments even more. And I also found, as I read it, there was a lot of arguments to be made in Mere Christianity that I have already made before. As a matter of fact, on an episode of SFC where we had someone come in arguing for nihilism, I, as a matter of fact, used unknowingly a few arguments from Mere Christianity, which is very interesting. It's a fantastic read. I'd recommend everyone check it out. It's a great book. I'm not even finished with it yet. That's how good of a book it is. Like I've got into like, so technically it's a bunch of books in like one book format, I guess you could say. So I am on book 2. And it's phenomenal. Like I said, absolutely phenomenal. Another book that I'm planning on reading is Discrimination and Disparities by Thomas Sowell, and Vision of the Anointed by Thomas Sowell. So I'm going to be honest with you. Charlie already got me into Thomas Sowell. I would always hear him talk about Thomas Sowell, and the things that he would say when quoting Thomas Sowell were just so smart. I was like, I need to figure out who this guy is. I need to listen to this guy. And, you know, I very quickly became a fan. So I just think it's great that I'm actually reading his books instead of just listening to him speak now. But yeah, I mean, I'm also checking out I think it's called Freedom and Capitalism by Milton Friedman. But yeah, I'm looking at all of these reads that Charlie Kirk educated himself on before, you know, setting out on his mission. And I want to be equipped with the best of the best, because like I said, I am picking up I am picking up the banner, and I'm gonna do the same, you know, because at first I was just gonna join Turning Point USA, and I was gonna be like, you know, happy with that, satisfied with that. But then I realized that I needed to be in college to be able to join Turning Point USA. So I really can't join Turning Point. Which made me sad, and I was like, well, what the fuck am I gonna do? And that's when I was like, you know, I'm just going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to go to UCF, and I am going to just talk to people, and I'm going to convince them, one, that, you know, Christ is king, and, you know, they need to follow Jesus, and two, convince them to join Turning Point USA. I figure if I can't do it, I can convince other people to do it. And that is how I'm going to continue the legacy. Yeah, it's funny, all of these terrorists are out here, like, celebrating. And it's like, you don't know what you have done. You lost. You lost so hard. Like, when Charlie was alive, it was Charlie going out. But now it's all of us that are going out. Like, you fucked up. You don't know what you're doing. Oh. Whoops. And it's like, you know, you didn't even do a very good job, because, like, if your whole deal was, oh, we're gonna scare them, you know, like, if you do this, you're gonna get shot. It's like, you know, I don't care. I'm gonna do it anyway. Fuck it, we're doing it live. Like, you really, really, really have fucked up. I mean, I don't know how other people feel about it, but at this point, if I went out there and did what Charlie did and I got shot over it, I would see it as a badge of honor. You know? Like, wow, you saw me as this big of a threat that you couldn't, like, do anything about, that you had to shoot me? Just like Charlie? What? And not only that, I get to be, like, a Christian martyr? What? Again, that badge of honor. Should have just let him be. Which, I mean, you always should have let him be, because that's called being a decent human being that's not a terrorist, but, you know. I know you can't really argue logic with these people. That's why they had to shoot Charlie. Because, you know, as he says, if you have to resort to violence, then you have lost the argument. Which is as true now as he said it, as when he first said it. But yeah, I look forward to telling you all how all of these books are. And hell, I may even buy some of Charlie's books. Because he's got at least 3 of them out there, so. And I figure it's probably best to hear from the GOAT when it comes to this stuff. And, you know, at first I was kind of worried, like, you know, I'm not going to be very good at this, and it's almost going to be a disappointment. But the fact that I would be just out there in the first place, I think would be, I think he would be happy with that, even if I'm not the best at it. Plus, I feel like I can like spread the gospel well. I feel like I've got a decent grasp on, like what it truly means to be a Christian, and the best way to get that message across to people. From both like an intellectual and a spiritual point. As a matter of fact, I feel like I'm almost better with the intellectual side of it. Because, that's honestly what mere Christianity is. It looks at it from an intellectual point of view, not so much like a spiritual point of view. It's crazy. He makes an argument for Christ without opening a page of the Bible. It's wild. Again, I'd love to talk to you about it, but again, I'd rather you go and watch the SFC episode when we actually read through the book and talk about it as an SFC family. Because I think that's going to be a very special episode. The preface of the book had me rethinking how we should be talking in SFC. Here, I'll spoil this in the preface. I'll spoil the preface, because the preface doesn't take too long, and I feel like we're not going to have a whole lot to say about it. But I am going to talk about the main thing we're going to have to say about it. But like I said, it doesn't take very long, so it's not a huge spoiler. But it was talking about how, like, if you're trying to get new believers to believe in the Bible and to truly accept the message of Christ, the number one thing you cannot do is go through and talk about differences and arguments between the different denominations. So, for example, in SFC, we've definitely talked about, not like seriously talked about, but we've definitely tiptoed around like transubstantiation and veneration of saints and praying to saints. I guess that's veneration of saints. The perpetual virginity of Mary. We've talked about how Protestant churches can sometimes or like the joke is that they are like rock concerts. Like, we've talked about all of these things. We've brought it up, we've mentioned it, and I don't want to do that anymore. Because, like I said, it doesn't help. Maybe if we were like, if the SFC family sat down with a Catholic, right? And there was like a Catholic version of SFC, and we were going through and talking about it to like all of our Christian followers, and there was just only Christians in the chat for whatever reason, that would be okay. That's one thing. But if we're trying to win hearts and minds, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time that serves nobody any good. And it actively hurts the cause. So, like I said, I want to get away from that, and just keep it totally focused on Jesus. Keep it totally focused on what we agree on. grace, like grace and that Jesus died and that he rose again, and just the belief that Jesus is alive and that he is king and that he will be coming back. That is what we should be focusing on. And how the Old Testament points to the New Testament. And that communion and baptism are good things. Maybe not get bogged down into the details of it, but But yeah, I honestly do think I could do, like, maybe not the perfect job, but I think I could do a good enough job. Then again, that is the whole point of Christianity. It's not about being perfect. There was already someone who was perfect, and, the role is filled. They're not really looking for any other applicants. Yeah. And I think while I could do a decent job right now doing because of course, with Charlie, for as much as he did, well, then again, I think he did more for faith than politics. If you actually go back and listen to all the interviews and all of the events, he always brought it back to Christ. But definitely politics was a major point. And while I think I could do a pretty decent job, debating some of these things, I feel like I would want to be a bit more equipped for that, I mean, I guess I want to be more equipped for the faith part too, but I feel like I could at least go in, and I don't want to say wing it, but wing it, I feel like I could. Just because, you really, you don't need to know that much to be able to preach the gospel. I mean, as long as you know, the basic facts, you don't really need a whole lot more. Then again, you'll have people who ask questions, who will compare it to science, or will want to bring science or atheism or another religion into it, and will question things in the Bible. So I suppose I do need a better well, then again, I feel like I kind of still could wing it, I guess, for a lack of a better word, on the more scientific and I forget the word I used previously when I was describing this earlier. I guess the logical side about it. Because I mean, it really is both parts. You gotta be logical. You gotta know what you're believing makes sense. It's gotta make sense. It's gotta be grounded. But at the same time, you do have to have faith that it is true. And that's the really cool thing about Christianity, is it does allow you to do both. I mean, do you have the scientific proof, the 100% without a doubt, verifiable evidence that Jesus rose from the grave? No. That's where faith comes in. But we can look at some of the factors surrounding Jesus rising from the grave and be like, oh, well, there's, like, why would people go out and die for a lie? That would be like saying that Charlie Kirk didn't believe what he said, but he knew that he had, like, death threats against him. Why would he go out and speak and get murdered if he didn't believe all the things that he said? That same thing with the apostles. It doesn't make sense for it to be a lie. And also just like the whole story of Paul, again, it really doesn't make sense if it's not true. If Jesus' resurrection is not true, or is a lie. Well, I mean, I guess essentially the same thing. But so there's three schools of thought when it comes to Christ rising from the dead. There's the believers, the people who think it's a lie, and the people who think that they were, like, confused or mistaken and it didn't happen. So when it comes to Paul's conversion, the it didn't happen camps, both of them don't really make sense. That would be one hell of a confusion to get someone who was murdering Christians. I don't understand how you get that confused. That doesn't make sense. In that case, in the case of Paul, the it was a lie makes more sense, but it doesn't make sense either. Like, they both don't make sense, and that one actually, for the apostles, you could say them being confused makes more sense, but it still, again, doesn't really make sense. But when it comes to Paul, the it's a lie makes more sense, but that, again, also does not logically make sense. So the only one that logically makes sense with all of the evidence available is that it's true and it happened. Like I said, you can't prove it without a shadow of a doubt, but like I said, that's where faith comes in. I feel like this episode was the exact opposite of the other one. And, I'm not going to say that I'm not still black-pilled by what Andrew Tate had to say. Like, I'm still pretty black-pilled by it, because I do believe that to be everything he said to be true. Concerning what happened and what is to come. Yeah, I do think there will be others, and I do think that this is like a plot, an Antifa plot. The only thing that we can hope for, well, I mean, the number one thing we can hope in is Jesus. Duh, without a doubt. That's an easy one. But besides Jesus, the only thing that we can hope in is that Antifa and all of these other terrorists and all these other freaks saw what happened, the reaction, and how that kind of galvanized everybody, and are like, fuck, we can't go out and murder anybody anymore. Like, it's going to blow back on us, and it's going to be bad. It's fucking Star Wars, bro. Charlie Kirk is Obi-Wan. If you strike me down, I will become more powerful than you can ever imagine. You know? And to throw another movie quote into it, but fucking we're at the Black Gate, right? And Aragorn gives his speech, and then he says, "For Charlie," and we all yell, "For Charlie!" and storm the gate. Like, that is what is happening. Or like, here's we'll throw in one more movie quote just for the lulz. It's like the English asking, "Which one of you is Charlie Kirk?" And then we're all like, "I'm Charlie Kirk." "No, I'm Charlie Kirk." That is what's happening. That is what is going on in America today. Hell, it's going probably across the world. So I don't think that they can... But then again, these people are crazy. They're crazy. They're terrorists. They're crazy terrorists. So who knows what goes on in their crazy terrorist mind? I sure don't. Well, besides hatred and demonic things. Which is yet another reason why we should all be going to college campuses and doing what Charlie did. Because if we can separate them from the demons, you know, if we can, like, show them Christ and then Christ save their soul, because again, we don't save souls. The job of saving souls has been taken. The position is filled. There is one being for the job, and nobody does it better than him. All we can do is point them in the right direction. So I mean, if we point them to Jesus, and we point them to common sense, well then, we very well might be able to save them from these demons. But it's difficult. It is difficult because, like I said, demons. They are demons. They want us dead. What the how did you die? Speaking of death, how did this fish die? Like I said, it is difficult to save people when they want you dead. But I mean, you gotta try, I suppose. And honestly, that's another reason why I've kind of have unfortunately laxed up on the "you're a terrorist" talk. Because, well, calling someone a terrorist isn't gonna change hearts and minds. Even if they are a terrorist. And I guess I was just, you know, I was so black-pilled and pissed, you know. Because, I mean, it's like... like I said, you can't... In the same way that they can never win us to our side by calling us Nazis and fascists and white supremacists, you know... I will admit, I purposefully kind of did this to make a point, calling them terrorists and labeling them terrorists to make a point that, well, I mean, I guess that they are, but also the fact that, like, you're not going to listen to a word I say, you're going to think I'm a crackpot, and you're going to say that I'm being divisive and inciting hatred And I mean, I guess you could make the argument violence. Well, yeah, sure, you could. You could make the argument that I would be inciting violence by calling you a terrorist. But that was almost kind of the point. It was just like, this is what you do, though. You know, this is what you do. But, and this is the part that upsets me, is like, it does. It upsets me a little bit. Is that we're called to be better than that. We're called to be better than that. You know, I'll admit, I'm the kind of person that when somebody fights dirty, I want to use your tactic against you and be like, you like it? How does it feel? You know, in my family, we have a saying. You don't. Well, it used to be you don't get mad, you get even. But now it's you get mad and you get even. But that's unfortunately counterproductive, which it does annoy me to say that. It really does. But then it's also kind of relieving, because at the end of the day, you get to say what Paul said, and that is, Jesus will handle them. Jesus will handle them in the end. Oh, I thought that was a unique fish. It is not. Yeah, I am happy to see what's his name? Tom McDonald, I think is his name. Put out a song about Charlie Kirk, and it's really good. Honestly, at first it gave me "Don't Let a Good Tragedy Go to Waste" vibes, but then I actually heard that he is going to be giving all of the proceeds of the song to Charlie's family, and it was like, oh, okay, never mind. No, you're being a cool dude here. But yeah, definitely check it out. It's a great song. I've been listening to it at least every day. Because, if the proceeds are going to Charlie's family, and all it takes to make the song money is just me listening to it, I'm going to listen to it. Like, on repeat. And also, can I just say, it is demonic that people are going out here and are saying that his wife, is evil. Like, I'm seeing this, and it's like, You guys are aware this is why no one likes y'all, right? Like, you can't let the widow be. Like, your hatred literally caused her husband to get shot, and you can't, like, let up. Like, that is 100% going to inspire everyone else to, not literally, of course, but, like, in the sense of elections and debate, like, fight you guys even harder, right? Because we're going to be like, oh, look, those are the terrorists that literally said horrible shit that got her husband murdered, where her children will never be able to see their father again. And they're over here still saying hateful shit? Like, what? Like I said, demonic, and which is why we need to separate them from the demons. The thing that, makes me laugh, though, and that it's almost unfathomable, like, I mean, I guess everything about them is kind of unfathomable, but this, like, from a logic point of view, is just so unfathomable. Like, I get it. Y'all have demons, and you want to be evil. Cool. Gotcha. But the whole them crying over getting fired. All I said is that I'm glad he died, and I don't see why I got fired for my job for that. I was using free speech. Though he can't use free speech, he deserves to be shot for free speech. It's like, you hear yourself, right? You're saying a man deserved to die because he used his free speech. But you ain't allowed to be fired from your job because you used your free speech. Like, are you home? Anyone home? Think, McFly. Like, I don't get it. And of course, I love seeing these videos. They make me laugh. Or there was another girl, exactly the type of girl that you would expect. The fucking the piercings, the fucking I think purple hair, who was crying because she said some shit about Charlie Kirk. And then all of her friends decided to not be her friends anymore. And it's like, she's like, I just don't understand why they don't want to be my friends anymore after what I said. I thought we were going to be friends forever. And it's like, again, you're being demonic and saying horrible shit, and you don't understand why people don't want to be associated with you? Wasn't your whole deal, like, if you say bad things, or if you say things that are you consider to be bad, that bad things should happen to you? So, like, you said what somebody considers to be a bad, horrible thing. Shouldn't you be cool with that? And then I love that they're talking about, like, I thought you guys weren't in favor of cancel culture. It's like, you do know, you do realize things that people were getting canceled for on the right was saying, like, I don't know, marriage is between a man and a woman because the Bible says that. Or they were pulling up, like, things from, like, 10 or 20 years ago that somebody had said, like, one time. Like, Paula Deen, for example. Alright, look, I'm not gonna say that it was a good or wonderful thing, or that she should be, like, you know, exalted or whatever. Or hell, you know what? If you don't want to forgive her, don't forgive her. But, like, she said the N-word, alright? She said the N-word a long-ass time ago. And it's like, again, I'm not condoning the use of the N-word. But, and I feel like I just have to repeat that over and over and over again. I am not saying it is a good thing to use the N-word. But she used it a long time ago, and it's like, they want to go ahead and, like, cancel her, like, fucking 20 years later, and it's like, I think that's a little excessive. You know, I'll give you, like, the whole, like, Kramer thing. He was, like, canceled immediately. He was canceled as soon as he crashed out and started using the N-word a bunch. And it's like, alright, that's understandable. But, like, she used it, like, years ago, man. Like, you had years to be upset about that and just casually decided to not be upset about it. And it's like, that is the difference. And, like, you are cheering on the murder, the assassination of someone because he said things that you didn't like. That's also textbook fascism. I just want to put that out there too. Like, that is literally, if you were to look up fascism in a dictionary, those are the examples that it would give you. Like, cheering on the murder or murdering someone because you disagree with what they have to say politically. Like, literally the textbook definition of fascism. Which, again, just, the irony is just delicious. But they won't call it fascism because it sounds bad. And they can't be the bad guys, is the issue. That's what I've noticed about the left and Democrats. They can't be the bad guys. They can't say, "Aw, man, we fucked up," you know? Like, ever. Like, you know what? I'm a fucking man. Alright? I am a fucking man. I will tell you that those people, because there were some of them, that went out and cheered for the death of Melissa Hortman, they are demons. I don't care what side of the political spectrum you are on. Like, if you're conservative or Democrat or independent, I don't care whose death you're cheering on. If it's an innocent person, you're a demon. All right? So when people cheered for the death of Melissa Hortman, who was a Democrat from Minnesota, who was assassinated by another Democrat, by the way. I just want to put that out there. And it makes sense if you actually look into it, and maybe we'll talk about it in a minute. But, like, yeah, those people are demons. They're evil. Like, no contradictions here. Alright? I am totally on board with those people getting fired from their jobs for saying shit like that. Like, go ahead. I will cheer you on if you want to do that. I'm not out here gonna defend them. But you take a look. Wait, why does he look blue? Oh, 'cause Sky, okay. But it's like, I'm not gonna go out here and fucking defend them. But people on the left literally cannot be wrong so hard that they have to defend the people that are cheering on the murder of a man. Again, you ain't catching me doing that. You ain't catching me doing. I will disown them. I will admonish them. 100%. Easy. Easy. No contradictions. No problems. But like I said, they are so eager to not be wrong that they cannot do that. They can't look at their own and go, you people are sick. You people are sick in the head. And that is honestly the main problem with the rabid left. It's not even radical anymore, it's rabid. And just because I want to go ahead, I put this out here and I got to go ahead and stand on it and back it up with facts. The murderer of Melissa Hortman was a Democrat. So the guy, and they'll say, oh, he was MAGA, he was a Republican because his roommate, who said that he didn't like, what was it, John Biden or something like that. I'm not even making this up. He literally said John Biden or something ridiculous like that. Yeah, that makes him MAGA. And then you look into it and it's like, oh, but wait a second, he was appointed by Tim Walz. But it was on a nonpartisan commission. Okay, but then he donated to Act Blue. He had no King's flyers in his car. But that Republicans can dislike Trump. Okay, he murdered a Democrat senator that had just voted to strip illegal aliens of free health care. And that's when you hear the crickets when they run away from the conversation. Yeah, that's really, if a MAGA person was going to go out and assassinate someone, I'm sure they would pick. And again, it's not like you can sit there and be like, oh, he just didn't research very well, because we have the evidence that he obviously had researched pretty well these people. So yeah, he just casually picks the person, the Democrat that was going to switch parties and become a Republican, that had just voted to strip illegals of free health care in Minnesota. That tracks. That makes sense. Because you know how Republicans and MAGA love giving free health care to illegals. Yeah. That tracks. That makes sense. That makes sense. No. You don't have your head shoved so far up your ass you can't see. No. Oh, no. And again, you can go back. You can go back on this channel to the date that we found out about all of that. The No King's Killer is what I call him. That's what Benny calls him too. You can go back, and you know what you will not find on this channel? You will not find me applauding. You will not find me saying, oh, you need to do so-and-so next. You will not find that. Because I have a soul. I didn't call for anyone to be murdered. I was horrified. You know, it must be so exhausting to be like a leftist. Because you just can't live in reality for like 1 second, you know? Just, it's gotta be an exhausting existence. I'm glad I don't live it. Then again, it's an exhausting existence being MAGA because you've got people that want to say that you're a Nazi and want to shoot you. So, I guess there's trade-offs. But I'll take reality any day over craziness. I like not being crazy. You know, and speaking of like demonic behavior and everything, you know, of all these people that say that like Charlie was this white supremacist and evil person, the only quotes they ever bring up are out of context quotes that they've misunderstood. I know you're shocked. I know you're shocked by this. Like the one that I love is like, see, he doesn't like black people because he said that black people were better off in the 40s and that the civil rights bill was a mistake. And it's like, you go ahead and you look at it and he's like, well, you see, they in the civil rights bill, it put out certain stipulations that would help break down the black nuclear family, which led to all of this, like, all of these rampant problems, and he goes and lists it out. And you know who was one of the main proponents of saying this? Oh yeah, it's Thomas Sowell. But who's Thomas Sowell? Oh yeah, he's a black economist. Right. Oh, and what happened in like the like, I want to say it was like the 20s through the 40s. What happened in the black community? Oh yeah, the Harlem Renaissance, which is like looked at as one of like one of the peak achievements of like the black community in pretty much every field. I mean, you can possibly look at. And it's like, wait. You wanna call him a racist for that? Like, again, you didn't hear the man out. That's the issue. You went to Chat GPT and said, what Charlie Kirk quotes can we possibly take out of context to make him look like a racist? And Chat GPT gave you some, and you didn't, you know, bother to look into it any further than that. And then just like the smugness, like they know better than you because they Chat GPT'd a couple of quotes. And it's like, bitch, I have been watching him since like, what, 2023, you know? Like, okay, shut the fuck up. I think I'm a way more of an expert than you. And the other thing that absolutely kills me is the them like Trump just blew up a bunch of cartel members. Charlie Kirk gets murdered, and it's like it's fucking. They're playing Celebration by who is it? It's either Kool and the Gang or Earth, Wind and Fire, and I'm blanking on it. Well, it's like, wait a minute, you're crying over cartel members who murder people and sell fentanyl, but you are happy that Charlie Kirk died because he said some stuff you didn't like? Again, yeah. Logic is not the left's strong suit. It's really not. It's really not. You know what? Fuck it. We're just going to throw the... You know what? We'll leave these in our inventory. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.